Hello and welcome to Warcraft Daily for today, the 11th of October 2013. So in today's news, we actually have absolutely nothing, but there's some interesting chat we can have with some tweets and stuff from the Blues. Pretty much today, I was out quite a bit last night, and well, my voice is extremely sore due to Batman interpretations, which I will not do now. Anyway, let's get into the kind of new stuff. So first of all, this is just a little PSA. They said they're aware the players are reporting longer queue times for normal with Arena, and they're currently looking into this and will have more information on the matter and they'll get back to you then. But for the time being, we have a lovely little thread for everyone to talk about it. Well, when that thread actually just means have a big angry circle jerk over the whole thing, which is unfortunate, but that's what's going to happen. So yeah, it seems like there's some Arena stuff. Honestly, this PvP season's been really borked, hasn't it? I mean, just looking at all the different news we've had, where there was the loophole to allow people to artificially inflate their rating. There was the conquest cap issue. There seems to be this arena queue time issue, and the crowd changes or the crowd chooses you. That has been a crazy controversy. It seems like it really did have a terrible effect in not forcing people, but I suppose influencing the playstyle of players, which is exactly what Blizzard didn't want to do. Now, actually, just on the new version of the arena, or the crowd chooses you, which is pretty much after 10 minutes, there's a 1% healing taken, I believe, reduction every 10 seconds. Well, the thing about that is, in say 1 DPS, 1 healer groups, which are most of the higher level groups, it will affect both healers equally, so therefore it's pretty fair. And that's definitely a good thing. It just makes things perhaps a little bit more cutthroat because there's less heals going out. Maybe that would favor some classes more than others, but it seems like a better solution than the crowd chooses you. Overall though, I don't know, like PvP people in the audience, what do you think about this season? Like, it must be annoying, you know, you just want to go in, do PvP, and just have the normal system working, but there's times when you want to go to a vendor and the vendor is turned off, and that's really shitty. I don't understand why problems like this happen. I remember there was a Conquest vendor removed last PvP season. I mean, it's the same damn system. How did they let these things slip? I'm not really sure. Yeah, it seems a little bit weird. But anyway, let's move on to tweets from the man himself, Ghostcrawler. So, there was a very interesting bit of chat about the Proving Grounds. And that as an example, say for LFR, and this is, yeah, let's just say it was an item level of 500 to get into the LFR normally, or say an item level of 480 to get in if you had a certain Proving Ground medal. And I actually think this is a great idea because item level doesn't really mean that much, and you can be a horrifically skilled player and have a pretty high item level. And this is definitely true. I go into groups all the time where, and actually there are times when I inspect people who have, say, basically better gear than me, and I literally am doing double their DPS because of skill. Now, all that shows is just how bad a metric item level is to how well players can do. I think Proving Grounds it's also not a great metric because, well, for any of you that have been in Proving Grounds, I'm pretty sure you'll understand what I mean. I think it's still better though, and it does give a baseline competency. If DPS can do Proving Grounds pretty decently, what it means is the DPS understands things like reflect, shield, understands getting out of the fire, understands quite a few different mechanics. That's the one thing about the DPS Proving Ground chants they do quite well, is they put in lots of little mechanics just to get the players to think. So I think, yeah, if you can prove yourself in the Proving Grounds that you can actually do competently, then absolutely you should be able to enter content with a lower item level. And it would also be nice for the Proving Ground system if you got like a badge or something, which said, you know, you are a gold person or a silver person. Now, in terms of actual, like, difficulty, since Proving Grounds are all scaled, I think Bronze should just be, like, for people who just have no idea how to play their class, which is cool. I've hit 90 in classes and had no idea. If you throw me into a Paladin, no feckin' clue what to do. So I think Bronze should be more for that, and making sure people are able to go out into the world and do quests and shit. I think Silver should really be for dungeons and scenarios and that kind of thing, and then gold should be for perhaps heroic scenarios and LFR and stuff like that. The stuff that perhaps gives players a little bit more individual responsibility. I know LFR, you may not think there's individual responsibility, but if you look at the fight mechanics of some things, like what there is in Siege of Orgrimmar, one person can fuck things up. Like, you know, that one guy on General Nazgrim who just keeps on attacking during defensive stance. Now, granted, it has been nerfed since, but, and then you just have a room full of Ravagers killing everyone. And there was war songs going off every, like, 10 seconds or whatever. Stuff like that. Individuals do actually kind of matter. Although, thankfully, the way a lot of the encounters work, you just need a few good people, and they'll be able to carry the team, like on Black Fuse. That's one of the things on the Black Fuse LFR. I know that's not out yet, but I've tested it, and it's the sort of thing where you just need a few really competent people to do one or two mechanics, and as long as everyone else is baseline not completely stupid. It's like that for Galacrass, kind of for Norushen, like for the people being skilled at doing their group, like little solo challenge thingy. But yeah, I think there needs to be a less arbitrary manner of judging player skill, and the more that Blizzard... it's hard, because if you say to make something a challenge and then expect players to rise up to it, well, what actually happens, which is a really sad fact, and I think it's a part of maybe the condition of a wide group of humans, or like a lot of people, is that instead of rising to the challenge, they'll just quit and fail, which is... ugh, it's terrible. I don't think people should ever be quitters, but whatever. I think that rather than, like, having that, they just need to... I know it's hard. Do they make it... do they gate getting in via skill or time? Because right now, getting into LFR is gated via time and the item level that you can manage to acquire through doing different things. Whereas if it was gated by skill, it would improve the LFR experience for everyone who is able to do LFR. So... it's hard, and there's two sides to the argument, and I don't have a definitive answer to give you. Anyway, the next thing is, he said that there are many ways to earn Valor and gear currently, but one of the problems was that at the start of this expansion, there was only one way to earn rep, but even that was changed later on. This was in response to somebody basically saying, there's only one way to get rep, there's only one way to do this, blah 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 blah. And even at the start of Mists of Pandaria, getting Valor, you could still do a bunch of things. There was daily quests, ugh. If you really wanted to do those, but you kind of were doing them anyway because they sort of forced you. So there's daily quests, dungeons, scenarios, probably one or two other things. At least it was kind of varied, but for Reputation it was only one thing, which was really a pity. Now, it's interesting with Rep. They did change it later on, and I think the champions, like the way that you can champion a faction in dungeons, is pretty cool, and same in scenarios. And it's funny, like, a lot of people say that they want to go back to the Cataclysm method, where you just get a tabard and you grind, you just chain do heroics. Now here's the thing, what that did, and Blizzard has been saying this constantly, and the thing is that despite what like you personally may think, when you're talking about a game with this many people, it's about the macro scale, and on the macro scale, that burnt people out. And I know it was really convenient. I'm sure that there's some way to like strike a right balance. I think going back to, say, Wrath of the Lich King, I really enjoyed how they did Reputation there, because every different rep faction had very unique quests that were pretty fun, and they weren't overboard in the number you did, and because there was a limit on the amount, like, you know, a limit on the amount of quests you could do a day, it was really very, very hard to burn yourself out, which meant this nice sort of experience where you knew the maximum you could do is 25 a day, so you just were happy in the pace that you were at. You weren't doing extra, oh well, you know, I've just finished this faction, but since there's no cap, I may as well go and do Klaxi, and that just kind of hurts you in your head, because it's not fun. I think the Wrath method was a little bit better in that regard, because your expectations were more that you just grind over a bit of time, not grind, that's the wrong word, you just kind of work at it over time, and then it's done. That's not really what Mists of Pandaria encouraged. So yeah, rep's funny. I just don't want them to go back to the Cataclysm system, because all that was you sit in Stormwind or Orgrimmar and you chain heroics and you don't go out into the world. It's called World of Warcraft. It's not called Menu Interface of Warcraft, because this game, one of the things that pisses me off the most is it is turning into Menu Interface of Warcraft. I'm really happy that the new Timeless Isles and kind of more dynamic systems are coming in, which will take it away from endless whatever, or what did I even say? Yeah, from being like menu screen of Warcraft, because that's not fun. Now finally he was getting back to somebody who was talking about challenge modes. And here's the thing about, like, challenge modes, personally I think that I've never done one, oddly enough. I think they're a really good idea, but I don't think they're the best way to do it. Blizzard said that they understand that it doesn't scratch the challenging heroic itch for all players because of the speed emphasis. That is my issue with it. I understand the speed thing, but I'd rather be in the group that goes through it so like, not slowly, just a regular pace, uses their CCs and stuff to the best of their ability, but you're not ultra rushed and stressed about it. Challenge modes perhaps wasn't chilled out enough, like even Cataclysm Heroics. You could still do those with your guild in just a really chilled out, casual, social manner. But it was okay because you were on your guild with Vent, like you have voice comms or something, and you were able to just work through them. Of course, the Cataclysm problem was they were just too hard for a pug, and I would even say that they're way too hard for a pug. It was stupid. Honestly, I think that the best solution to this is the system I proposed in my Q&A a while ago, where you have regular leveling up dungeons, then you have the equivalent of Mists of Pandaria Heroics or Wrath Heroics that are pretty easy, and then above that, you have the kind of very hard Heroics, which give gear that's pretty decent. Maybe it's LFR quality, maybe it's a wee bit higher than LFR. The only reason I'd say it could be higher than LFR is because I would have it being harder than LFR, because it requires skill, organization, and a little bit of communication. You can nearly see it as if it's not raiding, but it's like a challenging 5-person group experience. And at the end of the day, you think about it, like, I don't play World of Warcraft with any real-life people. I've been lucky to get into a really great guild, and honestly, the kind of gamers that I know in real life, which is like most of the people that I hang out with, not really MMO people, which is unfortunate, but whatever. But the thing is, if you're playing with even your real-life friends or your guildies, and you just want something to be convenient, it's really convenient to get 10 people. There's times maybe you want to get some nice gear and do challenging content and have a good social experience, in which case I think the best thing to do is my version of hard mode dungeons, which, yeah, go watch the relevant Q&A if you want to hear 10 minutes of slightly incoherent rambling about it, but it seemed to go down quite well with people. So, yeah, hopefully that's it. Now, once again, I have fed the trend of there being no news, and I always seem to do a longer show when there's no news. I should probably talk about that. Basically, when there's a lot of news, it's more structured. And when something has a structure, you just kind of sit there, you give the news, you give a short opinion, then it's done. The more broad and vague something is, the more you can talk about it. It just gives you so much more room as a commentator. That's why if you look at a lot of the questions that I've got, for like the Q&A and the really long Q&As, often the more broad the question, the longer I can talk about it. It's just the nature of doing commentary and thought processes and stuff like that. But, yeah, anyway, that's really it for today's Warcraft Daily. Hopefully there'll be some good news tomorrow. Well, later on this evening, actually, in about 3 hours from the time, 4 hours from the, no, 2 from the time of recording. The Blizzard store will be opening up with the special BlizzCon items, so hopefully I'll be able to pick up some of those or have a look at them and let you know what the crack is with them. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.